Hi everyone, I'm Taylor and welcome to the Tribe Life's 30 Days of Yoga Challenge. Today is day 5, so if you've stuck with me since day 1, congrats, day 5. If you're just starting with me today, awesome, welcome, happy to have you here. For day 5, we're just going to continue with what we've been learning, building on, adding some new poses here and there. And for those that are completely brand new, be patient with the poses. You know, sometimes we try a new pose that our body just does not like in that moment, and just pay attention to that, right? There's lessons in that, and we'll continue to work on them and just keep practicing and you'll get them. For those that are more advanced or have done yoga for a while, I encourage you to pay attention to your body more in these poses. Maybe we're moving a little slower than you're used to in classes that you normally take. There's lessons when you slow down as well. So I just encourage you to maybe try to pay attention to something different than you usually do. Maybe your breath, something else, paying attention to your body and seeing what you get from the class. So when you're ready, roll out your mat and we'll begin. Okay, so for day 5, we're going to start laying down on our mats. And almost kind of like in a final Shavasana pose. So just Shavasana is the name of the pose, right? But when it's not the last pose of class. And again, just letting your feet drop out away from each other. And you can place your palms up to the sky, or maybe bring that left hand to your heart and your right palm to your belly by your navel. As we breathe here, maybe starting to check in with our breath. And when this particular pose, noticing with each breath as your chest and your belly rises and falls. Just continuing to breathe, and then I invite you to check in with your body. Just doing a body scan, seeing if anything pops up for you, any particular place maybe is holding a lot of tension. And then checking in with your thoughts in your mind, noticing if there's any thoughts that are lingering, they kind of want to hang around, and we're doing our best to really let go of that which is no longer serving us. And then I invite you to set your intention for class. So I always like to start with a reminder. So if you've been with me since day 1, you know that we set an intention that we could hold throughout the whole 30 days and for the whole year, being a new challenge, a new year. So just continuing with that intention, if it still feels right to you, or if something else is popping up today, you can always pick a new one. So setting that intention, holding it in your heart, taking a few more breaths here. And then opening the eyes, you can hug that right knee into the chest, into your chest, and just pulling it up, maybe rocking that hip left to right a little bit, just creating some space in that hip, opening it up. And then gently bringing that knee to that left hand, right arm to the right side, and just draping that right knee over to the left. Just gently, not a deep spine twist here, just a nice little twist. And then coming back, and we'll switch sides. So hugging the left knee into your chest. Again, rocking that knee side to side as we open that hip a little bit. Trying to create some space, waking up the body, and then bringing that knee and that right hand and left arm out to the side. Gently rolling onto your right side. And coming back to center, you can drop that leg down. Hugging both knees into your chest, taking your time, rocking up, forward and back. And coming up to a nice comfortable seated position. And then coming up onto your toes. Again, hugging the knees into your chest. So you're kind of in this ball, this tight rolled ball right here. And you can drop the head and the forehead down to your knees, and just trying to create space in between the shoulders. So as we're rolling, maybe you're separating the shoulder blades, breathing into your back body. Then coming up, you can cross your legs, planting the hands, stepping back to plank. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. So just engaging the abs, lifting up the navel, pressing in the palms through all 10 fingers. Back legs are straight, reaching back through the heels and through the top of the head. And just taking one more breath here as we hold this plank. And then slowly bending the arms, lowering all the way down to the ground. Placing the palms under the shoulder, hugging the elbows in, lengthening through your legs. And as we inhale, reaching forward to the top of the head, peeling up the upper body wide across the collarbones, shoulders back and down. And we're pressing and pulling the palms back. And then releasing down to the ground. We'll do that one more time. So again, lengthening to the top of the head, reaching forward wide across the shoulders, across the collarbones, shoulders back and down, peeling the chest up, pressing the palms back and down. And then releasing, bending the knees, pressing back to child's pose. And then we'll come forward to puppy pose. So having your hips over the knees is the best way to start this pose I've found. So keep the hips over the knees, and then just slowly start to slide your hands out in front of you, bringing the chest, the chin, maybe the forehead down to the ground. And then we'll rise back up. You can flip the toes and we'll come back to downward facing dog. So walking out the dog, bending opposite knees. Really working to reach the chest towards the top of the thighs, lifting the navel up, the hips up and back, shoulders away from ears. And then lift that right leg up and back. Step it forward in between your hands, dropping that back knee down, lifting up to low lunge. So if this is hurting your knees, you can always place a blanket under that knee as we work to lean forward here. Front knee over front ankle, feeling that stretch in that left hip. And reaching our arms up with a slight back bend. And then straightening that front leg, we'll forward fold over that front leg. So as we straighten that front leg, we're bringing that right hip back to square the hips. Maybe you flex that front foot too for an extra stretch. If this is too low for you or it's uncomfortable, again, if you have blocks handy, this is another place where they come in, where they're helpful. So you can place them on either side of that knee and use that to support yourself as you fold deeper to feel that stretch a little bit more. And then we'll rebend that knee, placing the hands, stepping back to plank. You can take a flow or just lift up the hips, pressing back to downward facing dog, yogi's choice. And inhale, lift that left leg up and back. Exhale, step it forward between the hands, dropping that back knee down, rising up to low lunge. So we're feeling that stretch on that right hip, leaning into that front knee and front hip, making sure that front knee is over the front ankle. It's not coming out far in front. And we're lifted, slight back bend. And then straightening that front leg. Again, bringing that left hip back an inch or two to square the hips. And maybe you flex the foot here for an extra stretch as we work to lengthen through the top of the head, reaching with the heart, and then forward fold. Rebending that knee. You can plant the hands, stepping back to plank. Again, yogi's choice, take a flow or press back to downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here. Inhale, lift that right leg up and back. Step it forward. Planting that back foot at a 45-degree angle, rising up to warrior one. So we're working to square the hips here, really pressing down through the outer edge of that left foot, lifting up through our heart and our fingers. Releasing your arms back behind your back. Inhale, lifting the chest and chin. And then exhale, dropping your chest inside that right knee, bringing your hands up to the sky, relaxing the head and pressing down through the outer edge of that left foot. Pressing into that right foot, reaching up, back up to warrior one. And then planting your hands, flipping the back heel up on that left foot, and then lifting that right foot straight up and back. So we're coming to three-legged dog with that right leg in the sky. As we bring that knee into our chest, place that right knee outside or over towards the right wrist. Coming into half pigeon. So we'll work to wiggle our way down and bringing our hips to the ground here. My right side is always much higher than my left. So again, this is where the block or a blanket comes in handy. If you want to prop it up under that right hip. And keep that foot flexed to protect the knee here. And we'll start with a slight back bend. So inhale, lifting the chest up and back. And then slowly walking the fingers out. You can come all the way down to the mat. Resting your head and your chin. And just breathing here. If you're like, what? No way. That pose is not for me. A great modification is to sit here with your knees lifted and just bringing that right ankle outside the left thigh. And you can, again, stay lifted here with a long spine, or you can also come onto your back, pulling in that left leg. It does the same thing. You'll feel that in your right glute. So those who are in half pigeon, will stay here for another breath or two. And then planting the hands, you can flip the toes under on that left foot, slowly taking your time, rising back up. Again, lifting that right leg up and back to three-legged dog. You can bend the knee, maybe opening the hip, rolling the ankle out, or you can also drop that foot back, flipping the dog as it's called, and coming to rock star for a slight back bend. And then flipping back over to downward facing dog. Taking a moment to walk out your dog here. Holding the pose for another breath. And then lifting that left leg up and back, stepping it forward, and dropping that back foot, rising up to warrior one. So again, pressing down to the outer edge of that right foot, hips squared to the front, reaching up. Then bringing your arms behind your back. Inhale, lifting the chin and chest. And then exhale, dropping the chest, the head inside that left leg, reaching the arms up to the sky. So grounding through that right foot. Pressing into that left foot, lifting the head and chest, rising back up to warrior one. And then releasing the hands on the ground. Again, flipping the back toes under, lifting that left leg up and back, three-legged dog. And then bringing that left knee into your chest, placing the knee outside that left wrist, dropping that shin down. And you can slide back, coming into this pose again. If you need a blanket or a prop or a block to prop up that left hip, you can stay here with up on your fingertips for a slight back bend first, and then slowly walking out. Bring your head and chest down to the ground. Staying here for a few breaths, and again, remembering that modification on the left side if you need to go that route. Then we'll slowly come back up, planting the hands, flipping the back toes under, again lifting that left leg up and back. Taking your time, you can bend that knee, opening the hip, maybe rolling the ankle, dropping that foot back, flipping the dog, coming into rock star for a slight back bend. And then re-flipping over, coming back to downward facing dog. And then bending the knees, coming back to child's pose. And then we'll rise up to hero's pose for a breath or two. So if this hurts your ankles, you can always place a blanket underneath the feet, the hips. If you have a block, you can prop it up under your seat and just kind of sit on the block here. That helps. So a few options there, but we'll sit here in hero's pose just for a couple breaths. So bringing the heart over the hips, palms down on the thighs, maybe closing your eyes here again, just allowing yourself to check in. And then opening your eyes. We'll rise up to kneel, and we'll come into camel pose. So I'll walk you through, there's really kind of two steps here. I'll walk you through the first step. If you're already comfortable in full camel and you know what that is, feel free to go into it now. Otherwise, for those that are a little new or looking for a reminder, we'll start with, again, your hips over your knees and maybe flipping your toes under. I like this version better. And then you'll bring your palms to your lower back with your fingers to the sky, elbows back, and lifting the chest here. And maybe you stay here, or you can continue to just lower your head and chest back into a back bend as deep as you feel comfortable, keeping the hips pressing forward though, not allowing them to fall back. You can drop the head back if that feels good. And then when you're ready, you can slowly rise back up. And then we'll press back into a child's pose right away. You always want to counter that one. It's a pretty deep back bend. And then we'll rise back up. So we'll do that again. Coming into the full version. If where we were before felt great, just stay there. Otherwise, you can flip your toes under. And then taking that right arm, reaching it up to the sky. And then bringing it back behind you. Grabbing onto that ankle. And then the left arm up and back. So grabbing onto the ankles here. And then again, just reaching up with your chest, your hips, pressing them forward. And then eventually dropping your head back if that feels good. Just continuing to open the chest. Releasing the hands, rising up, and then pressing back to child's pose. And then rising up, you can come to a nice, comfortable, cross-legged seated position. Placing the left hand outside the left hip. The right hand to the left knee. Inhale, reaching nice and tall. And also making sure your sits bones are nice and grounded. So maybe removing any flesh there. But then we'll inhale, sitting nice and tall. And then exhale, twisting over to your left. And only moving the head and the neck as far as the shoulders are moving. So if you move it too far back to the left, you might strain the neck. So just twisting here, always from a lengthened spine. And then back to center, we'll switch sides. So right hand outside that right hip, left hand to that right knee. Inhale, sitting nice and tall, and then exhale, twisting over to your right. And then coming back to center, grabbing your hands behind your back. Inhale, lifting the chest and chin, opening the front body. Lots of heart openers today. And then releasing the hands, walking the fingers out, tenting the fingers. We've done this in a few other days' classes. I just love it because it really works to lengthen the spine, hip opener as well. You can feel this in your glutes sometimes. So just pausing with tented fingers here as you take a few breaths. And then you can roll down, releasing the hands and the head down to the ground. And then coming back up. So we'll switch sides, whatever leg was in front, you just bring the other one up and over. Again, grabbing onto your hands behind your back. Inhale, lifting the chin and chest, opening the heart. And releasing the hands, walking it out, tenting the fingers. Staying here for a few breaths. So really lengthen, reaching forward and grounding back through the hips. This class is great with all the heart openers for anyone who sits at a computer or just hunches at their desk all day. Really, with all the heart openers, it just feels amazing. And then you can drop your hands and your head and your arms down to the mat. Just taking a few breaths here. And then coming up. Straightening your legs out in front of you. You can removing the flesh from your sits bones. You can flex your feet here again, sitting nice and tall. You can always elevate your seat with a blanket underneath for this as well. And then we'll inhale, reaching our arms up to the sky, and exhale, forward fold. We're grabbing for your feet, your ankles, shins, maybe even the ground, wherever you are. Just working to fold from the hips and really reaching forward with the chest. And then rising back up, bringing your arms out in front of you, and we'll just take our time rolling down all the way to the mat. Reaching your arms up overhead. You can bring your arms over to the left side and your feet over to the left side. So you're in this like stretched out boomerang shape. And just feeling the stretch on that right side body, taking a few breaths here. And then come back to center, sliding the hands and the feet over to the right side this time. So feeling that stretch on the left side body this time. And then coming back to center. Relaxing your feet out away from one another, the palms up to the sky, and we'll come into final Shavasana. So taking a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale out your mouth. As always, you can pause the tape here if you'd like to take a longer or shorter Shavasana. Otherwise, stick with me, and for the next minute or so, just allow yourself to relax, and then I'll bring us all up to finish class together. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Stretching your arms up over your head, reaching from the fingertips down to the tips of your toes. Holding onto your right side body and pausing here for a breath or two. And then making your way up to a nice, comfortable seated position on your mat. Keeping your eyes closed, relaxing your palms on your thighs. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out your mouth. Inhale, reaching your arms up overhead. Exhale, bringing them to your heart. I always close practice with a moment of gratitude, thinking of one thing you're grateful for and holding it in your heart. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a class or a new video. If you have any friends or family that you think would enjoy this challenge, share the love. Send it on to them. Invite them to start day 6 with us tomorrow, or they can start from day 1 on their own time. Whatever works. Thank you for practicing with me, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 6.